San Francisco, home to him, him, wait, what? Him, zombies, and the Golden Gate Bridge, which is part of today's challenge. I have to get from one side to the other, but I'm not allowed to use the Golden Gate Bridge, or any other bridge, or any other road for that matter. Here are the rules for the challenge. I'm not allowed to drive on any road or bridge where civilian traffic spawns. Places I am allowed to drive include alleyways and other utility areas, gardens, backyards and parks, dirt tracks and paths, pedestrianised zones, malls, plazas and parking lots, and sidewalks, but using these should be kept to a minimum and used only as a method to get from one alleyway to another. This being Watch Dogs 2, I've also added a bonus challenge. I'm not allowed to run over any dogs. If I do, the challenge has failed and I'm going to have to start again. First of all, I needed a vehicle. Luckily, I found this Burbank Vespid Lowrider that no one was using.
Damn! There goes my insurance rate!
It would be the perfect vehicle for my challenge because, it would make a cool thumbnail, I guess? Oh yes, and the adjustable suspension, of course. I then drove to the Point Bonita Lighthouse, in the northwestern corner of the map. The challenge would begin at sunrise. I'm currently here on the map, north of the Golden Gate Bridge. The finishing line is at Fort Point, which sits here on the southern end of the Golden Gate Bridge. Obviously, the Golden Gate Bridge is out of bounds, so I'm going to have to find another way around there. The first place we're going to have to drive through is Strawberry and San Quentin, which have kind of been smushed together in this map. I had two options here. I could stick north and cut through the woods and follow the dirt tracks here, but this felt too easy. I wouldn't have led to a very interesting video. So that leaves me with the second option. Hugging the south part of the coastline. There are marinas here, pedestrianised areas, so finding a way through shouldn't be too much of a problem. But after this, we are going to encounter a slight problem, but we'll get to that bridge when we come to it. Okay, the problem is a bridge. It's literally a road bridge. There's probably the most literal use of that phrase in human history. But let's not worry about that now. I left the Point Bonita Lighthouse and headed through this neat little cave and up a dirt track. And here I met my first road, which obviously I'm not allowed to drive on. So instead I had to gingerly make my way around the edge of it. I then made quick use of my hydraulic suspension. Time for some off-roading. I assume that's what this hydraulic suspension is used for. I mean, what else could it be for? Making the car dance around and bounce just for the hell of it? Because you think it looks cool? Nah, that's just ridiculous. Why would anyone do that? I headed downhill, making use of the dirt tracks in this campground, heading towards Soul Gun Battery, where I got a lovely view of my nemesis, a Golden Gate Bridge. This was a lovely picturesque ride, through caves and small beaches, passing a few early risers who'd come down to enjoy the beach. I then rounded the corner where I'd reached a tarmac road. This is a utility road. No traffic spawns here, so I'm allowed to use it. Ahead of me sat another road, but on the other side was a large green area. Time for some proper off-roading, which means popping the suspension back up again. I was really surprised by the Lowrider's ability to handle the off-road terrain. He was doing just as well as any 4x4, even at such a steep angle. It did get a bit dirty here though, so I should really clean this thing. The terrain ahead of me appeared to get steeper, so I was going to have to start heading east, which meant passing through the marina. In case you didn't know, Watch Dogs 2 is a game all about hacking things. You could hack things in the environment, like these garage doors here, which meant I could drive straight through this warehouse. Upon exiting the warehouse, I suddenly remembered my bonus challenge, as there was a good boy, or girl, just chilling in the middle of this tarmacked area, so I had to carefully drive around them, otherwise that would be an instant fail, and I would have to start the challenge again. But I can run over as many people as I like, but luckily this gang had their wits about them and got out the way. Crossing the coastal road again, there was more green space up ahead of me. So far so good. There are plenty of dirt tracks and side roads in this part of the map, so I was making progress. But these tracks soon ended, and I'd have to navigate through this suburb, which meant crashing through people's gardens and driveways. After rounding this corner, I was met with quite the sight. An early morning yoga class. Fair play to these guys, getting in their exercise before work. You've really got to admire them for that. Anyway, on my way, coming through guys. It turns out hydraulic suspension is also great for cushioning falls from big heights. Who knew? After a quick drive along a sidewalk, I noticed a pedestrian area to the side of me. It was a bit of a tight squeeze in this big ass car, but I managed to squeeze it through this gap and down these stairs. I then drove through some utility areas, much to the annoyment of some local residents. Get back on the road? That's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to achieve here. Clearly she didn't get the memo. I then turned right up a steep alleyway. Time to go uphill again. Why have I got the feeling I'm about to do some more steep drops? Jumping down those stairs was oddly satisfying. I crossed the road again, drove along the sidewalk, and was now right next to the marina. There was plenty of boardwalks and parking lots to drive through here, so I took full advantage. After leaving the marina, it was time for more proper off-roading, following the beach towards the bridge. I almost got stuck in this little stream, but yet again this lowrider proved itself to be more than capable of driving off-road. Seriously, I'm just as surprised as you are. Who knew this thing could handle the dirt so well? Here we are, the Richmond Bridge. This concrete bastard was about to cause me a whole world of trouble. Obviously, it's a road bridge. I can't drive across it. I'm sure you're aware that San Francisco sits in a bay, which means there's a fuck ton of water here, which I'm going to have to cross. There are no rail or pedestrian bridges I can use, and I'm pretty sure this game contains no amphibious vehicles. So how am I going to get across? My first idea was to shove the lowrider into the back of a flatbed truck, and then use this to drive across the bridge. But this was an incredibly dumb idea. Not only did the flatbed physics not really work properly, but this is the no road challenge, not the tyres of the car I happen to be driving are not allowed to touch tarmac challenge. Not only does that make for a shitty thumbnail, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of this challenge. There was only one other way across. I was going to have to take a page from my Just Cause 3 playbook and find a boat to ferry my car across the bay. I should definitely plug my Just Cause 3 video, by the way. It's the second one in this series. You should definitely give it a watch as well. It was a lot of fun to make, and I'm sure you'll find it just as entertaining as this one if you've not watched it already. However, unlike Just Cause 3, there aren't any battleships, troll boats, or landing craft. I was going to have to make do with something else. I headed back to the marina to find out which boats would spawn in. Watch Dogs 2 has a surprisingly varied amount of boats, but I needed to find one that was flat and could support a vehicle. The sailing boats clearly wouldn't work, nor would the cruiser type speedboats. There's one boat which would be ideal, which is a tour boat. It has a big flat deck at the back, but unfortunately that only spawns down here in the Oakland marina, and I'm all the way up here. That meant I was only really left with one option here, which is these cigarette style speedboats that spawn in here. They were low and flat. Surely I could drive my car up the pier and straight onto them.
Everyone look out! Shit, what? Hey!
Okay, yes, it's very clear that the Lowrider isn't going to be the car for this challenge after all. I was going to have to think smaller. Luckily, Watch Dogs 2 has a wide array of small vehicles to choose from. Not these compact cars, we can go even smaller than that. Say hello to the all-electric e-cart, the Noodle self-driving car, and the ridiculously compact Merengue. Surely one of these super compacts is going to do the job. Hope you're sitting comfortably because my pain is about to begin. One thing that made my life a little bit easier was the fact that Marcus can just order any car he wants straight from his phone, and it'll spawn nearby. Brilliant. They also make the process a lot quicker as I slowly fill San Francisco Bay full of vehicles. Right, first attempt with the noodle car. Okay, that was a bit over enthusiastic. Right, let's order another. Right, let's try again. Watch Dogs 2 allows you to remotely hack vehicles. You can send them forwards, backwards, left, right, so I tried putting the speedboat in reverse. I thought that might make getting the car onto the speedboat easier. Well, the car is certainly secure on the boat, but much like real life, jamming a microcar into the driver's seat of a speedboat makes it very hard to drive. Is it drive? Sail? I don't know. Anyway, maybe remote hacking the speedboat to go forward will work. Or maybe not. Oh, and no. No. Ouch, that's a big no. Right, let's try a different approach. What if I tried boarding the speedboat from the front? Then the car would get stuck over the driving controls. Okay, no, that didn't work either. The bow of the boat is too high, and the car just pushes out the way. Fine, back to rear loading then. I'm gonna have to floor it, jump over the driving compartment, and then slam my brakes on. Then the car can sit gently on the front of the boat. In theory, of course. Or not. Okay, maybe the noodle car is still too fat. Let's try the meringue, whatever it's called. The skinny boy. Well, that's really nicely jammed in there. Maybe it'll stay. Let's try remote driving this thing again from inside the car. Okay, whoa. Gently does it. Gently does it. Oh, no. No. Rear loading just is not working. I'm gonna try and find somewhere I can load the cars on from the front. I think I know just the place, just around the corner. There's this like shack shantytown thing. And just here is a little ramp, but the pier is slightly higher. I should be able to drive straight onto the front of the boat here.
Watch out!
Well, I'm on. Kind of. Oh, and I'm off again. Aha, yes, it's on. Now just stay there. No. Oh, for God's sake, it's going in, isn't it? Oh, this is painful to watch. We're getting close, though.
What? No!
Yes, that's it. It's on. It's stable. The nearby NPCs were so impressed with my progress, they did a spot of synchronized diving for some reason. Right, now to drive this thing. I'm gonna have to go as gently as I can. Oh, for God's sake, I've only moved like a couple of meters and it's already falling in. Maybe if I remote hack the car to drive forward a little bit, it'll get itself into a better position. No. No, it won't. Alright, that's dead center. That's as perfect as I'm gonna get it. Right, here we go. Gently does it. Okay, let's speed this up a bit. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. Right, let's just gently turn around, get out of this bay. Things were going great. It looked like I was finally going to achieve my goal. You're probably thinking, why don't I just sail across to the finishing line now? Well, there's a whole lot of sea in between me and the finish line, and this is painful enough to watch as it is. I want to spend as little time as possible with this ridiculous balancing act, so I'm going to head to the nearest land possible and sail alongside the bridge. As I got further out, the wave started, and the noodle car started to slide towards the edge of the boat. It was inevitable, it was going to go in, and there was nothing I could do. Right, back to the drawing board again. Perhaps the Marengo could do better. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the e-cart. Or perhaps not. It got pretty far though. But then, all of a sudden, the answer sailed past me. I thought I had the best boat for the job, but that fishing trawler with its flat deck at the back, perhaps that would be a better choice. Maybe the microcars could sit comfortably in the back. So I found my inner Jack Sparrow and commandeered this vessel. And headed back to my loading spot. Let's see how this one goes. The e-cart seems to fit comfortably in the back here. Perhaps I'm onto a winner here. Now let's see if I can sail this thing. Well, just about. It's a bit of a tight squeeze, but me and the cart fit in nicely. Again, let's go slowly here. I don't want to lose it off the back. Things were going well. I'd sailed further than I had before. But then, the inevitable happened. I tried again, and again, and again. Then I tried the remote driving technique again, staying inside the e-cart whilst remotely piloting the boat. But that didn't seem to work either. Right, time for a change of car. Skinny boy, you're up again. Getting the Marengo onto the fishing boat proved a lot more violent than the e-cart. It would often smash itself to bits. My first attempt with this combination ended up blocking the driver's seat again. I probably should have just switched for a motorcycle at this point. There's nothing the rules say I can't. But I was attempting to use a car, so it was back to using the remote pilot technique again. But this attempt ended up with both vessels being lost at sea. They're probably well on their way to Japan right now. For my second attempt, I decided to use the remote piloting technique again. Only this time I'd stay inside the car. Things started well, but then things got very hairy indeed. I decided to jam the car's accelerator and drive into the boat's cabin. Hopefully somehow I'd be able to stay inside. Things got very ridiculous. The boat almost capsized. This was sure to be another fail. And then something unexpected happened. After a little bit of clipping into the boat, the skinny boy ended up on its side. It was well and truly stuck in the back of the boat. Could this piece of pure chance help me get across? Well, it seems to be working. Let's just speed up time and see how far I get. I was so close, I'd almost made it to the other side of the bridge. Now to just unload this thing. I needed to get the boat as far on land as I could, so I beached it here. But surely unloading it's going to be very difficult then. Oh, I've done it! Jesus Christ, I've done it! I've actually made it across! I have no idea how long this took. There are many attempts which I didn't film or just deleted the footage of. I'd proved it was possible to get a car across the bay in a boat. But for the challenge to really count, I was going to have to go back to the start and repeat this again. So that's exactly what I did. Surprisingly, I only had a couple of attempts where it went wrong. It proved to be third time lucky. You've already seen the whole driving section, so let's just fast forward everything and get back to this beach again, shall we? So here I am on the beach again with a brand new skinny boy. At this point the game decided to properly screw me over. I was having trouble unloading the car. It looked like it was all going to go horribly wrong at the last second. So I got out the car to see what I could do. I then managed to beach the boat again, and skinny boy unloaded. But then for some reason the game decided the car was inoperable. I could no longer get back in to drive it. Sure, the car's damaged, but never got to the point where it was smoking or on fire, and it didn't even touch the water. I've been playing this game for several hours now, and I wasn't going to put up with this bullshit. So I decided to order a new skinny boy, and then park it in this exact spot and carry on with the journey. If I edit it together, you probably won't even notice. See, there we go. Remember, if you cheat when the game screws you over, it's not cheating, it's justifying. Okay, so now I'm here, just north of Oakland. There are two bridges here heading towards San Francisco. But you guessed it, they're both road bridges, I can't use them. So looks like I'm going to have to sail across again. Remember that tour boat I mentioned earlier? That's my target for this leg of the journey. There should be plenty of room to park Skinny Boy on there, and sail across the bay to San Francisco. The tour boat spawns here, in the Oakland Marina. I have two options for this one. They both pretty much start off the same. Heading along a utility road here, across some railroad tracks, and under the Bay Bridge. Either I could skirt around Oakland, driving across dirt tracks, but I felt this might be a bit boring. So yet again, we're going to be navigating an urban environment. This part of the map has plenty of pedestrianised areas and a stadium, so I'm sure we'll be able to find a way through no problem. The moment you first had a little bit of off-roading to do, which it really was not built for at all. It was then a quick drive to this industrial area, where I'd meet the utility road and then head onto the train tracks. Here I passed a gang having an absolute mad one and enjoying themselves with a big old dance-off. Watch Dogs 2 has such an underrated open world. It's full of really interesting characters and moments like this one. You can find things like this all over the map, whether it's lost couples arguing in the wilderness, bikini car washes, a nudist colony, zombies, or a guy dressed up like a donut. You can find it all across this map. There are also really cool random moments as well. Like this jilted lover smashing his ex's car. One of my favourite moments whilst playing Watch Dogs 2 was two random NPCs got into a fight. A huge crowd gathered around them to watch, with one of them phoning the police. The police turn up, and by this time, one of the fighting NPCs had been knocked down. The last one standing made a run for it, and the police chased after him and tackled him to the ground. Whilst this was happening, an ambulance also showed up to resuscitate the guy who was knocked out on the ground. It really makes this whole place feel like a living and breathing city. Anyway, I'm waffling. Where am I? Okay, right. I'm just about to drive under the Bay Bridge. And say with me, kids, I can't drive across it because it's a road bridge. I could have carried along the tracks, following the coastline through the docks ahead, but I decided to turn left, drive under the overpass, and through a construction site. I am going to take advantage of the dirt tracks here, but not for very long. I then turn right at the fork, choosing the more urban path. The track ends at this tunnel, so I drive through it and then across a parking lot. I'm now entering a proper urban environment. If I could handle driving across Liberty City in GTA 4, I could certainly handle this one. Have I got time to plug that video? Probably not. Anyway, moving on. I wait until it's safe to cross the street like a good little boy, and then head across the sidewalks. This car is so skinny, it's perfect for driving on sidewalks like this. I then took a sharp left and headed through a utility area, and then onto a pedestrian path through these commercial buildings. I really am spoilt for choice at this part of the map when it comes to finding a route. There are pedestrian paths everywhere. Believe it or not, I do actually plan out these routes. With that first car I made across the bay, I did drive it a bit. I really struggled to remember my rehearsed route, because there are just so many options. But luckily here I know exactly where I need to go. Well, at least I think I do. I've done surprisingly well so far, not running over any people. Look, I love a good NPC ragdoll as much as the next man, but I really don't like skinny boys' chances in a police chase. The cops drive some proper beefy looking muscle cars, so ideally I want to keep them off my tail. I headed through this underground mall, which was oddly satisfying, especially when I wrecked this ice cream store. I headed up out of the mall and across a busy junction. I then drove past a police station. Nothing to see here, officers. Nothing to see. Well, ignore that. Nothing to see, nothing to see. Across the road is, you guessed it, the pedestrianised zone. Hey, I'm not complaining. This is great. I'm making excellent progress. I almost forgot which way I was heading at this point. But I quickly remembered, I need to go this way. These alleyways led to a decent sized park. I could drive through here for a bit, around the lake in the centre, getting close towards my goal. I just had to avoid all the NPCs, who'd gathered here to enjoy the midday sun. There are people dancing, there are people admiring the lake, there are joggers, and there are dog walkers, but I'm going to have to be especially careful around. I definitely don't want to do a hard reset at this point. I headed past a stage where some dude was strumming his guitar. Lucky for me, he didn't have much of a fan base. That would have been a bit trickier if people had actually turned out to watch his set. I was doing well. So far so good. I haven't run over a single person. I then headed across the grass, and then smashed through these apple crates. I don't know why they were there. Maybe it was a market, I don't know. But then the inevitable happens, and I run over some poor old guy's toes. Someone quite rightly decides it's a matter for the police to investigate, but as an elite hacker, I have multiple abilities, like this signal jam. Sorry old dude, it looks like I'm going to get away with it. This will take a while to respawn though, so I'm going to have to be extra careful not to run over anyone in the next minute or so. Otherwise the cops are going to be on my ass, and I will be in trouble. This really is quite a pretty part of the map, very chilled out. This is the kind of park I'd like to go visit, but unfortunately it wouldn't last forever. I was coming to the edge of the park. It was time to leave and head up these big steps. I crossed the road and then drove on the sidewalks again before entering into some alleyways. Most NPCs have had an appropriate reaction to this challenge. They've been jumping out of the way, yelling at me, telling me to get back on the road, but then I just passed this one dude who's just chilling on the stairs. I drive right past him and he doesn't even react. I guess he's going through some tough shit right now. I hope he's okay. I smash through these metal barriers. This road is closed for some reason. That's fine by me. That then leads down to a parking lot. I smash through a chain link fence. I don't think that's very realistic in a car of this size, but hey ho, let's go with it. And then we drive through another alleyway, heading towards the stadium. You can just see the roof of the stadium off to the left, and you can also see downtown San Francisco off in the distance. Jesus Christ, it's so far away. We've still got a long way to go. Turn left and head down into the stadium. All this massive area is parking lots. No traffic spawns here, so we can head through at high speed. There is a small obstacle up ahead, in the form of a narrow canal, but don't worry, I got this. Driving fast and doing ramps in Skinny Boy does give me a bit of anxiety. It looks like the damn thing could topple over any second, but there's some weird video game physics going on here, and it sticks to the ground like glue. It still looks very odd though. Right, here we are at last, the marina. Now I just need to remember where this tour boat spawns in. I'm pretty sure it's down here somewhere. Excuse me, anyone? Tour boat? See the tour boat? Anyone at all? Well, sorry about that. Luckily for me, the guy in the shorts and the tank top was a pretty chill dude. He didn't seem to mind one bit about getting hit by a microcar. Ah, there she is, the big yellow beauty that's gonna get me across to San Francisco.
Man? Hey, oh my god! What the hell are you doing? Hey, be careful!
I park Skinny Boy at the edge of this promenade, much to the annoyance of the nearby NPCs. I then run down to get the tour boat, to get it into position. Look at the room on this viewing deck. I could fit a whole fleet of Skinny Boys on here if I wanted to. Okay, that'll do. Now to get in Skinny Boy and smash through this fence. And there we go, I'm on the tour boat. I actually ended up driving into the cabin. I now have the long voyage across the bay ahead of me. I've decided to stay inside the car again and use the remote hack technique. Plan was to head southwest and aim for the salt pools down here. I could have taken more of a direct route and headed closer towards downtown, but a lot of the water's edge here is either concrete wall or keys, which I'm going to struggle to get off the boat and onto. So I'm going to play it safe and head down to somewhere I know I can get the car off safely. This isn't the first time I've attempted this crossing. Remember the original orange Skinny Boy that successfully made it across the north side of the bay in the fishing boat? Well, that got this far too, but unfortunately it met a very explosive end after taking an absolute battering on the crossing. I got so close though, I was about to unload it and everything. With that attempt, I actually got out the car and piloted the boat myself. This time using the remote hacking technique, I'd hoped the car would stay in one piece, but it did still get bashed around quite a bit on the way over. Plus I had to stop on multiple occasions to allow my hack meter to recharge before I could command the boat to go forward again. This took a long time, and by the time I reached the other side it was late evening. Then I had to get my tour boat into the right position so I could drive off the back of the deck. Remember, I have very limited control with this boat. I can only go forward, left or right or backwards. So I was having to use these primitive controls to try and get the boat facing the right direction, but also close enough so the car wouldn't land in the water and drown itself. I finally got the boat into a kind of safe position, and I made my attempt to get off, which was not very graceful at all. In fact, it looked more like the boat was trying to shit out a giant car-shaped turd, and I was having a hard time with doing it. But eventually, at last, I'd finally made it to San Francisco. I'd proven it was possible to use boats to get a car across the bay, not once, but twice. Now all I have to do is navigate downtown San Francisco and make my way to Fort Point. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this turned into an absolute effing shambles. Not only was my car already smashed to bits, I've spent so much time buggering around in these boats, I'd completely forgotten my rehearsed route. And also on my way round, I broke one of the main rules, and gave a poor defensive canine an early trip over the Rainbow Bridge. But don't be too sad, karma came back and literally bit me in the face. As no joke, this is exactly how this run ended. Part of my rehearsed route sends me through the back of a police station. Obviously the police don't take too kindly to this, and neither do their police dogs. After this humiliating defeat, I couldn't bring myself to try the boat part of the challenge again, so I decided I'd navigate the third and final part of the run solo, starting at the most southerly tip by the Galilei rocket facility, and make my way towards the finishing line, which would still be at Fort Point. It's a fair distance. Just like the other two parts of the map, I had two options. The less civilized route, driving across dirt tracks over these hills before making my way towards the beach. Then to be a simple drive towards the Golden Gate Bridge, but, and you can probably guess where this is going, I decided this was too easy, and boring, and I opted for the more fun option of finding a way through the maze that is downtown San Francisco. Of course, there's only one car I could use for this job. That's right, it's time for some Lowrider redemption. If I'm going to complete this part of the challenge, I want to do it in style. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. Round 3. The first part would be quite easy, as the Galilei building is surrounded by a large utility area, so I could just drive around the edge and make my way towards all the green space south of the city. It was once again time to put that hydraulic suspension to good use. As I crossed 3 busy roads, I made sure to stop, look and listen. Remember kids, always pay attention before crossing busy roads. I'm now in the Silicon Valley part of the map. Oh, there's a couple of doggies playing there, I gotta be careful. I'm now approaching the Noodle headquarters. Noodle is this game's equivalent of Google, by the way. There's plenty of pedestrian paths and plazas around here, so it should be pretty straightforward to navigate. Hang on, there's something very important I have to do before I go any further. It is absolutely vital to the mission that I do this. Now I've got that out of my system, we can continue. Right, where was I? Ah yes, Noodle headquarters, plazas, pathways, brilliant. Rather disappointingly, I didn't run over any tech CEOs whilst I was here. I missed out on a golden opportunity to make the world a better place. I saw a very ramped shaped rock ahead of me, so I knew exactly what had to be done. If this car had been faster or lighter, I would have made it onto the top of those solar panels, but unfortunately this car is a bit thick and girthy, and flying through the air isn't one of its strong points. I now needed to head north towards the university campus. There would be lots of nice wide open spaces here I could use to get closer to the city. There is quite a wide storm drain I'll need to cross first, but I knew there was a way across at the end of the alleyway, just down here. I know I said this machine wasn't the best flyer, but let's give it a go anyway. Ah, good, made it. I'd landed just south of Stanford University.
Another happy landing.
Here I'd find green spaces, classical architecture, red bricked plazas and walkways, and cheerleaders. So life's good. Much like the naughty kid at the back of class, I was disrupting everyone's learning, as my V8 roared and my tyres screeched, heading straight through the heart of the university and out the other side. I used my hacking ability once again, find an interesting route out of the university, using this underground parking lot. I'm currently heading back towards the waterfront. Just ahead of me you can see some large glass buildings. This is the headquarters of a company called 2's, which will be hosting the next part of my trip. But first I had to drive through this station. That one commuter just took a lowrider to the chest and walked it off. What an absolute champ she was. Okay, here we are, 2's HQ. They make robots here. I'm sure they won't mind if I take a quick trip through the fountain. Turns out hydraulic suspension was also useful for wading, as well as off-roading. This whole area around 2's is pedestrianised, so I'm sure I'll be able to find a way around these buildings. But do you know what's more fun than driving around buildings? Driving through them! Hey guys, don't mind me, it's fine. My cousin works here. He's expecting me. So it turns out security weren't too bothered. Or maybe that's because they let the spring-loaded automatic doors do their dirty work. Okay, that did seriously batter the poor lowrider. It was looking pretty wrecked at this point, and also very dirty. Someone should really give this thing a clean. I followed the pedestrian paths to the waterfront, and used the parking lot and utility road to start heading north again, towards downtown. The utility road ends opposite this go-kart track, and you just know I'm going to drive round it. It'd be rude not to. Watch this baby handle these turns. That's some nice drifting right there. Right, I had my fun. Time to get back onto the road. Well, not the road, because then I'd fail the task. You know what I mean. I used some dirt tracks and headed towards the freeway. I was then able to make good progress, driving underneath the overpass. Right, I'm almost there at downtown, where things will get a bit more tricky. I'm going to lose all these nice open spaces, and it's going to become more like a maze or a puzzle, where I have to try and find my way through. But let's enjoy these easy spaces while we can, and follow this railroad track. I'm right by the water's edge again, and we're going to have to find a way across. This old drawbridge has a nice wide boardwalk running alongside it, plenty big enough for this lowrider's fat ass. When I made it to the other side, I was in downtown. I decided the first destination of my San Francisco sightseeing tour would be the Oracle Park Baseball Stadium. We're right by the water's edge here. There's bound to be a nice wide promenade I can use here, so long as I avoid running over any of those pesky dogs. You see that bridge ahead of me? Unfortunately that's the Bay Bridge, and not the Golden Gate Bridge. So, I've still got quite a while to go. As I came to the end of the promenade, I could either turn right into some wharfs, but I decided to turn left into a person. It would seem the chilled out, tippy stereotype of San Francisco is alive and well in this game. That's the second person I've just completely demolished with my lowrider, and they just don't give an F. That's fine by me, although I'm sure this car could take a beating against a bunch of police cars and give the local police force a run for their money. I'd still rather avoid it. I can see a way under the Bay Bridge, in between these buildings and through this alleyway. Let's hope this fence is smashable. Ah, good, it was. When I exited the alleyway and through another fence, I was right in the middle of downtown. There were offices everywhere, and if there's one thing corporate architects like, it's corporate plazas for all the yuppies and go-getters meet up and do business and drink coffee and I don't know, I don't work in an office. I had to use the sidewalks a little bit whilst driving around here, but it wouldn't be for long. There's so many pathways to choose from again, I'm spoiled for choice. It's almost as if the game devs wanted someone to try this challenge. You see that funny looking glass building ahead of me on stilts? That's the Salesforce Transit building. That's going to be the next stop on my sightseeing tour of San Francisco. I hear there's a lovely garden on the roof, so let's go check it out, shall we? There are several unwritten rules in video games. Red barrels always explode. Waterfalls always hide caves full of loot. And if you drive up a multi-story car park or onto the roof of a building, there's always a sweet ramp to jump off the top. Hey, the brochures weren't lying. This is a rather nice roof garden. Look at all these nice sculptures of modern art. I wonder if any of them are ramp-shaped. Aha! There's the ramp off the roof. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Here we go! To be fair, I hadn't really landed in a very convenient place, but I've got to do a sweet jump, so who gives a damn? I immediately headed for the sidewalk and turned back on myself to head towards more corporate plazas. Apparently, I just ran over the office Karen, despite there being numerous witnesses and a plea to phone the police. None of the bystanders to what just happened could even be bothered to pick up the phone and dial 911. Damn, she must have been really unpopular. I found a line of alleyways that would lead me out of downtown. I'm now heading west, towards the district of Richmond, where I'd start to encounter San Francisco's famous hilly terrain, which means the suspension is going to get a workout as I climb and descend multiple staircases.
What the fuck are you doing?
This line of alleyways had served me well. Things were about to get tricky. The only obvious way forward is through the back of this police station. Last time I attempted this, I died. Well, that definitely did it. Turns out running over an officer in their own backyard causes all the police in the vicinity to chase you. Who knew? That very artistic alleyway led me straight into a park. I really had my foot down at this point, trying to outrun the police. I made a pretty careless mistake here. This bush concealed a brick wall, which I slammed straight into at high speed. That definitely hadn't done the car any favours, but it was still driving okay. This neighbourhood is full of tight alleyways and green spaces. Some of them are very narrow, so this might not exactly be the best car for the job. These beeping button prompts are little traps I can spring on the police officers. Normally it's something like a gas main explosion in the road, but I'm not going to bother springing any on them. I don't need a reason to annoy them anymore. I just hope they won't be able to follow me through these alleyways, and I'll lose them pretty quickly. I headed down a wide dead-end alley, and then along a dirt track. The police were still on me. They were determined not to let me get away with this, so I was going to have to try something pretty crazy if I wanted to get rid of them. Maybe if I head up the steep hill, they won't be able to follow me.
Yeah, Ron, stand by. We're swinging back around.
Perhaps my escape route will lie at the end of this dirt track here, and I can spot another one of those conveniently ramp-shaped rocks ahead. Well, I better go for it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? Okay, that was pretty insane. I almost ended up flipping the thing, crashing into part of the building. I had to patiently wait for a tram to go past. If I put my foot down, drive along these sidewalks and alleyways, hopefully I can quickly escape.
Ron, we are on site and searching for the suspect.
Right, phew, I think I've lost them. But it looks like my insane stunt may have actually worked. Okay, we've still got a challenge to complete. We're definitely well on our way there. I think my next plan should be to head west, to head down to the beach. Hopefully that'll give me a clear path north towards the Golden Gate Bridge. I caught a glimpse of it off in the distance when I did my crazy Evel Knievel building jump. There are still a few blocks of residential neighbourhood I'm going to have to get through, and the alleyways and backyards are going to be narrow. So let's force our way through. Damn, that looks narrow. This is not going to be pretty. Remember that nudist colony I mentioned before? I'm actually driving straight into it now. They're going to be furious when they find out what I've done to their fences. Okay, I'm going to have to edit out a little bit here, as one of those nudists literally walks out straight into frame to see what on earth is going on. And I don't think YouTube will be very happy if I was showing a fully naked NPC. I already took a risk with that butt joke, so let's just skip ahead a bit, shall we? No, I'm so sorry, naked people, I'm so sorry. This is so awkward. Why did I have to pick such a fat car? I really wish I had a dirt bike roundabout now. It would have made my life so much easier. So I'm just going to fast forward and cut bits out. It's basically me getting stuck multiple occasions. Well, thank God that embarrassment is over. Speaking of God, I'm just about to drive past a church, so I said a little prayer, wishing for wide open spaces. And as I drove around a playground, it looked like my prayers had been answered. I could see a nice run down to the beach, but it meant I'd have to absolutely wreck some people's backyards. This is gonna be fun. I don't know about you, but I certainly enjoyed that. I'd made it down to the beach. Now I can head north and drive straight towards the Golden Gate Bridge. The ending is definitely in sight. Let's see how this baby handles the wet sand. Even though the Lowrider had showed itself to be more than capable on off-road dirt, it seemed to be really struggling in this wet sand. The wheels were really spinning. Maybe this wasn't going to be the shortcut I thought it was. Up ahead I saw some rocks and cliffs. There's no way I was going to be able to navigate those in this thing. Looks like I'll have to turn back towards the city. Luckily I have now entered the district of Presidio. There are lots of wide open green spaces here, so finding my way towards the Golden Gate Bridge and Fort Point should be fairly straightforward. I just need to keep heading north. Well, so far so good. Looks like the Lowrider's got its mojo back and has remembered how to handle off-road again. I'm now just outside Fort Winfield Scott, an old military barracks. If I could just find a way through these buildings, I'll be within touching distance of the Golden Gate Bridge. There it is, my first clear view of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's so close. I think I just passed a gang who were doing a drug deal or something. But luckily, I was well on my way out of there before they had time to react and start shooting. I then headed through the cemetery, where my friends the zombies hang out, but they only come out at night. Okay, right, there it is, the Golden Gate Bridge. It's right there, it's right there. I'm just going to find a way underneath it. Fort Point is quite far below me, so I'm going to have to find a way down. Let's just hope this car has one more decent jump left in it. Well, that was a bit risky. Imagine I flipped it right at the last second. I would have been so pissed. Anyway, Fort Point, where is it? It's just around this corner, under the bridge. And here we are, I'd made it! I'd successfully navigated the south part of the map, without using a single road. So, is it possible to cross the Golden Gate Bridge without using any roads? Kind of, in theory? I've done it in stages. Clearly the Lowrider is way too big to make a water crossing on the back of any boats. And the Marengo is too weak. It barely survived one boat ride, so to do two and drive a bumpy route through downtown San Fran would surely be impossible. Maybe it can't be done with one vehicle. So, that's where the video would have originally ended, but like me after a night out at a vegan restaurant, I was left feeling unsatisfied. So, after sleeping on it, in-game and in real life, I realised the answer to this challenge was in front of me the whole time. And cut through the wood and follow the dirt tracks here, but this felt too easy. I probably should have switched for a motorcycle at this point. I could skirt around Oakland, driving across dirt tracks over these hills, or making my way towards the beach. I really wish I had a dirt bike right about now. It would have made my life so much easier. So, I made Marcus put on his best Gen Z suit and bought myself a dirt bike. And it was back to the Point Bonita lighthouse I went. This was all very exciting. A crowd had gathered to see me off. There was a man with a guitar and everything. Okay, here's the new plan. I have a dirt bike this time. It's quick, it's nimble, it's excellent off-road, and it'll fit nicely on the back of boats for the 2 water crossings. This time I'm going to avoid urban areas best I can, and stick to the dirt tracks and more rural roads. Hopefully this means the dirt bike won't get too damaged, and just as long as I can keep it in one piece during the water crossings, this should be a piece of cake. Right, let's do this. Don't worry, I'm not going to show the whole thing in real time, I'm going to speed up most of it. Otherwise we'll be here all day. This video is already long enough as it is. The first part of the route will look very familiar. It's the same way I took the Lowrider and Marengo, heading down through the campsite, through the caves, under the Golden Gate Bridge, along a utility road, and through the marina. But instead of heading east and hugging the coast, I'm going to turn north and head into the wilderness, and stick to the dirt tracks that hug the northern side of the map, annoying multiple hikers as I go. After a sweet jump, I landed by the marina. I had a quick look, but no fishing boats had spawned here, so I was going to have to head back to the trusty old loading point in the shantytown, and Marcus once again would have to don his pirate hat and steal myself a fishing vessel. Luckily, I saw a fishing boat almost straight away, so I commandeered it. I didn't have far to travel, which meant the motorcycle didn't have any chance of despawning.
Everyone stay calm. We are taking over the ship.
Okay, let's get the bike onto the boat. Hopefully this will be as easy as I think it is. Right, that's it, I'm on. I decided to get off the bike and drive the boat myself rather than using the remote pilot technique, and I think there'd be a high chance of me falling off the back of the boat on the bike using that method. At least here I can take it slow. The crossing turned out to be a bit worrying. The bike jumped around quite a bit in the back of the boat. It also didn't help that all of San Francisco Bay's boat traffic seemed to be spawning right in front of me, so I had to keep maneuvering around them. But I made it. That was one boat journey out of the way. The bike hadn't met a watery doom. I was back on dry land. There was a slight problem. For some reason, I couldn't get on the bike. Had it mysteriously wrecked itself, like the Marengo on my journey before? There had to be a way to unload it. Perhaps there was a more gentle or subtle approach I could take. Well, the bike's off the boat, but now it's upside down, and yeah, I still can't get on it. Well, it still seems to be working. It could be too close to the fishing boat. Maybe I need to just gently persuade the other boat to get out of the way? Seriously? Why can't I get on this thing? Right, let's just try this remote hack and... oh, that actually worked! Well, thank F for that. We can carry on with our lives. Right, to the tour boat. Yet again the route would start off the same. Heading through the industrial site, past those crazy dancing people, along the utility track, then onto the railroad, underneath the Bay Bridge, and onto a dirt track. This time, instead of turning right at the fork and heading through a tunnel into Oakland, I turned left and skirted around the edge. Unfortunately, no dirt tracks led straight to the marina, so I was going to have to do a bit of urban motocross. I was quite close to the park with the lake in the middle of it. If I could just cut through these alleyways, I'd be right there, and I could follow the same route as I did before. But things took a turn for the difficult when I ran into a group of criminals in this alleyway. They clearly weren't impressed at the sight of a man in a white suit on a dirt bike and started to open fire. Rather luckily for me, there were some cops nearby, and they quickly reacted to the sound of gunfire, and were able to keep the gang busy while I made my awkward escape. Well, that was rather undignified.
Go! got an intruder!
Oh crap, the gang are on me again. Go, go, go! Phew, that was a close one. That would have been a rather shit ending. Right, I'm back in this park again, but this time I decided to utilise my dirt bike's tiny size and squeeze through this gap and rode along a footway through the sewers. Nice. But then just my bloody luck. What was waiting for me as I exited the sewers? That's right, more sodding criminals. And yet again they were more of the shoot first and ask questions later kind of gang. I couldn't believe it. With my other attempts I made it all the way around the map and only encountered one gang briefly. But this time I'd ran into two gangs within a couple of minutes of each other and eaten a few bullets as a result. Maybe I'm just cursed never to complete this challenge. It looked like I was going to easily give my pursuers the slip again. I headed back into the stadium. The plan was to reach the tour boat as I did before, using the shipping container to jump the canal and reach the marina. But under the glare of the midday sun, the ramp was hidden in shadow, and I was having a hard time spotting it. I had to turn around so I could take a decent run up to make the jump safely. Then some gang members showed up in an off-brand Camaro. Clearly they weren't going to let me get away that easily. Not to worry, I can just jump over the canal and give them the slip. Ah bollocks, that didn't go to plan. Right, let's try again. Ah crap, they're right on my tail. Go, 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 go! Right, let's try this again. This better be third time lucky. The gang members almost cut me off. They were right on my tail. It was now or never. I had to make the jump. Phew, I think I've lost them. Right, here I am in the marina. Let's go get that tour boat and get out of here. Right, okay, same as before. Get the tour boat, sail it into position, smash through the railing, jump onto the back, and sail across San Francisco Bay. Job's a good 'un. This time I decided to opt for the remote piloting technique. The rear deck had a nice big wide open space with a high barrier running all the way around the outside, which would prevent me from falling off the back. This had also meant I could simply ride off the back, which will hopefully make unloading a lot smoother this time. The crossing was long, but uneventful. Yet again I had to keep stopping and waiting for my hack meter to recharge. But eventually, I made it to the other side, and thankfully, unloading was a lot easier this time. Right, here we are, San Francisco yet again. I headed through the wetlands and over a little jump. I decided I wanted to head back to Titus and say hello to all my friends there. As you can see, they were delighted to see me.
Everyone look out!
Hey, fuck!
Yet again, I headed out using the utility road and drove across the go-kart track. I really couldn't be asked to drive around the chicanes this time, so I just beelined it. At this point last time, I headed along this dirt track and then under the overpass, but this time we're going straight forward. There are multiple dirt tracks that take us through the hills here, leading to the south end of the beach. It should then just be a simple drive up the coast towards the Golden Gate Bridge. For some reason there was a gang waiting for me at the top of the hill. Sometimes I guess even criminals need to unwind with a nice relaxing hike in the countryside, but I managed to lose them driving through a tunnel, and then could happily carry on towards the beach. After some sick jumps and high-octane, high-speed motorcycle riding, I'd made it to the beach. Now to head north, avoiding the sunbathers. I really hope this is one of those beaches where you're not allowed to bring your dog. The rule where I'm not allowed to hit a dog still stands, by the way. I've played through the campaign on this game multiple times, and I still find new things, like this limbo party. I've spent countless hours playing this game, and I've legitimately never seen this before. It just goes to show you how cool and detailed this game is. I'm still finding new things 7 years after the game's release. This is where the beach ended, but there are multiple hiking tracks and tunnels here I could use to find my way round the coast without having to venture back into the city. There it is, the Golden Gate Bridge right in front of me. I'm so close. Nothing can stop me now. Ah, geez, sorry about that. Oh no, don't you go calling the police. Time for a signal jam. I'm not having the police show up on this beach and ruin my challenge at the last second. Oh my god, I've made it! Ah, that was such an ordeal. So many attempts, so many vehicles at the bottom of the bay. But finally, I'd cracked it. It hadn't been easy, but I'd done it. I'd figured out this challenge. And I was happy and satisfied. My dirt bike had done me proud, so I gave it the best send-off I could think of. A Viking funeral. Then there was only one thing left to do. Limbo party! Wow, thank you so much for watching this one, guys. It was a long one. This series is starting to find an audience, and I love it. And I hope to make many more episodes. I haven't quite decided where I'm going to go next with it, but it'll probably be GTA 5. Who doesn't like GTA 5? Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Foolish Pedro. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.